Listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions. And you'll have time to check your work. At the start of each recording you'll hear this sound. You will hear each recording twice. At the end of the test, you'll be given 2 minutes to check your answers. You'll have 20 seconds to read the instruction carefully. And you'll listen to the piece twice.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the history of Oxford. Oxford has been a town for many centuries. The first written records of its existence date from before 912. Oxford University began to establish itself in the middle of the 12th century, and by 1300, there were already 1,500 students. At this time, Oxford was a wealthy town. But by the middle of the 14th century, it was poorer because of a decline in trade and because of the terrible plague, which killed many people in England. Relations between the students and the townspeople were very unfriendly, and there was often fighting in the streets. On the 10th of February, 1355, a battle began which lasted 2 days. 62 students were killed. The townspeople were punished for this. One of the punishments was that the university was given control of the town for nearly 600 years. Nowadays, there are about 12,000 students in Oxford, and the university and the town live happily side by side. The Oxford English Dictionary is well known to students of English everywhere. It contains approximately 5 million entries, and there are 13 volumes, including a supplement. Some of the words are special Oxford words. For example, bulldog in Oxford is the name given to university policemen who wear bowler hats and sometimes patrol the streets at night. They are very fast runners. Punt is a word often used in both Oxford and Cambridge. It refers to a flat-bottomed boat with sloping ends, which is moved by pushing a long pole in the water.
You'll have 20 seconds to read the instruction carefully. And you'll listen to the piece twice.
How are you getting on with your art project, Tom?
Okay. They gave us the theme of birds to base our project on, and I'm not really all that interested in wildlife, but I'm starting to get into it. I've pretty well finished the introductory stage.
So have I. When they gave us all those handouts with details of books and websites to look at, I was really put off. But the more I read, the more interested I got.
Me too. I found I could research so many different aspects of birds in art. Colour, movement, texture. So I was looking forward to the bird park visit.
What a letdown. It poured with rain and we hardly saw a single bird. Much less use than the trip to the Natural History Museum.
Yeah. I liked all the stuff about evolution there. The workshop sessions with Dr. Fletcher were good too, especially the brainstorming sessions.
I missed those because I was ill. I wish we could have seen the projects last year's students did.
I suppose they want us to do our own thing, not copy.
Have you drafted your proposal yet?
Yes, but I haven't handed it in. I need to amend some parts. I've realised the notes from my research are almost all just descriptions. I haven't actually evaluated anything, so I'll have to fix that.
Oh, I didn't know we had to do that. I'll have to look at that too. Did you do a timeline for the project?
Yes, and a mind map.
Yeah, so did I. I quite enjoyed that. But it was hard having to explain the basis for my decisions in my action plan.
What?
You know, give a rationale.
I didn't realise we had to do that. OK, I can add it now. And I've done the video diary presentation and worked out what I want my outcome to be in the project.
Someone told me it's best not to be too precise about your actual outcome at this stage, so you have more scope to explore your ideas later on. So I'm going to go back to my proposal to make it a bit more vague.
Really? OK, I'll change that too then. One part of the project I'm unsure about is where we choose some paintings of birds and say what they mean to us. Like, I chose a painting of a falcon by Landseer. I like it because the bird's standing there with his head turned to one side, but he seems to be staring straight at you. But I can't just say it's a bit scary, can I?
You could talk about the possible danger suggested by the bird's look.
Oh, OK.
There's a picture of a fish hawk by Audubon I like. It's swooping over the water with a fish in its talons, and with great black wings which take up most of the picture.
So you could discuss it in relation to predators and food chains?
Well, actually, I think I'll concentrate on the impression of rapid motion it gives.
Right.
Do you know that picture of a kingfisher by Van Gogh? It's perching on a reed growing near a stream.
Yes, it's got these beautiful blue and red and black shades.
I've actually chosen it because I saw a real kingfisher once when I was little. I was out walking with my grandfather, and I've never forgotten it.
Oh, so we can use a personal link?
Sure.
OK. There's a portrait called William Wells. I can't remember the artist, but it's a middle-aged man who's just shot a bird. And his expression and the way he's holding the bird in his hand suggests he's not sure about what he's done. To me, it's about how ambiguous people are in the way they exploit the natural world.
Interesting. There's Gauguin's picture via a Matty. He did it in Tahiti. It's a woman with a white bird behind her that is eating a lizard. And what I'm interested in is what idea this bird refers to. Apparently, it's a reference to the never-ending cycle of existence.
Wow. I chose a portrait of a little boy, Giovanni de' Medici. He's holding a tiny bird in one fist. I like the way he's holding it carefully so he doesn't hurt it.
Oh, right.
You'll have 20 seconds to read the instruction carefully. And you'll listen to the piece twice.
In last week's lecture, I talked about employment and aspects related to it, including contracts, income tax, and so on. However, people are increasingly looking at other forms of earning a living by working for themselves and being in greater control of their working lives. Today, Dr. Corpus and I are going to talk about 3 different ways in which people can work for themselves. They can set up a company, set up a partnership, or they can work as a sole trader. There are important legal and financial matters to take into consideration when choosing one of these structures as a way of doing business in the UK. Firstly, I just want to outline the main differences between these three types of business structure, which are to do with tax and registration. Regarding registration, those wanting to set up a limited liability company have to legally register the company with Companies House, the government department responsible for businesses. Limited liability means that if the business fails, and the owners owe a lot of money, they only lose the money and goods which are in the business, and not their own personal money and goods. This is because the owners of the company are separate from the company itself. On the other hand, a sole trader doesn't need to set up a company. He or she can simply start working without any legal registration. A partnership can be limited or unlimited. An unlimited partnership is just like a sole trader, but with two or more partners. In this situation, each partner shares expenses and also income. A limited liability partnership, or LLP for short, is like a limited company because it must be legally registered in the same way. So just to summarize, with limited liability companies and limited liability partnerships, the owners and the company are separate in legal terms, but with simple partnerships and sole traders, the business and the owner are not legally separate. The other main difference is to do with money, both with finding money to start your business and with paying tax. For example, it might be difficult to borrow money from the bank if you're a sole trader, but easier if you have a limited company, as banks trust companies more. Regarding tax, limited companies pay corporation tax, which, unlike income tax, is a tax on business profits, not personal earnings. This is more favorable for companies, as corporation tax is usually less than income tax. On the other hand, with sole traders and partnerships, whether simple partnerships or limited liability partnerships, the owners must pay income tax, which may be higher than corporation tax.
That's the end of the listening section. You now have 2 minutes to check all your answers. Time's up. Thank you.